Hi there and welcome to class. This class is at Inflight level, so this is our intermediate level course here at I'm Talking. And today I want to present some resources so you have ideas of things you can do. I will have some study suggestions for you as an intermediate student as well. And I'd like to tell you about these additional classes. What's the purpose? How do I use them? What kind of things are we going to talk about? It's going to be in today's short video, a video about 20 minutes in length. So first of all, what is Inflight? Well, Inflight is our intermediate level in our course called I'm Talking. The complete course spans 4 modules: check-in for basic students, take-off for pre-intermediate students, Inflight, this level for intermediate students, and Sky for advanced students. At this level, you begin to communicate more freely. You can discuss more abstract topics. It's a very exciting level because you have more autonomy and you can do more and more with your English. Let's have a look at some of the topics we will be discussing in these additional classes to your main course. During these additional classes, we will be working with different ways of introducing yourself in formal and informal contexts, making use of more sophisticated English as compared to the previous levels. We'll be discussing working life, different situations when we work or study. We're also going to talk about what we do when we relax. There's a very interesting topic called After Hours. I think you're really going to enjoy it. We're also going to talk about fitness and health. What is a healthy lifestyle? You'll learn lots of new vocabulary and structures related to that. We also have technology, which is one of my favorite topics because I enjoy it myself personally. Interesting English, collocations, and other things relevant to technology. We'll be working with entertainment, talking opportunities, both personal and professional opportunities. We'll go back and revise pronunciation and much, much more. It's important to note that these classes are not a substitute from the main course. The main course you find on imtalking.com.br, and you click on I'm a student, so alumno, and you will be taken to the portal, and there you will study the main content of the course. But the objective of these classes is to help you answer questions and doubts that you may have, try to help you learn English as fast as possible. We're going to highlight things you haven't seen before. The idea is that it's complementary in nature, so it does not substitute the main course. That's really important. I also want to highlight a couple of practical things for you to be aware of. You should have the student book called Inflight. It's a green book, and you will notice that throughout the pages we have added QR codes as the one you can see on your screen here. If you scan the QR code on a tablet or smartphone, you'll be taken to exercises that were chosen for this particular moment in these classes, with additional exercises that can help you. So please be sure to have the book ready when we go over the classes and work with the content. So the very first class that I'm going to add some additional information is this one you can see on the screen here. It's called Welcome. And there's an interesting take here on how you can greet another person in a different way that we've seen before. Here are 2 people talking. The first person says, "Hi, how are things going?" Very similar in nature to Portuguese. Como estão as coisas? Como andam as coisas? And the other person says, "Things are great. How about yourself?" And the other person says, "Couldn't be better." So that's an example of an answer. This couldn't be better. Não poderia ser melhor. So straight off the bat here in the first lesson, in the platform, you have worked with presentations, and you had an opportunity with your teacher, I hope, to do a presentation of yourself, your family, your hobbies, whether you work or study right now, and what you've done in the past couple of weeks, and maybe talk a bit about your immediate plans for the future. Now, at this level, when you talk about yourself, what we imagine you can produce is presenting yourself by name, how old you are, where you live. Talk a bit about, obviously, your family. So are you from a big family or a small family? How many brothers and sisters do you have? Maybe some information about them. A bit about your hobbies, your free time activities. What do you like to do in your free time? At this level, we expect you can do. And expand on your activities. Are you currently working? Are you currently studying or doing something and other interesting things? And sometimes we take an opportunity to tell other people a bit about what we've been doing the past couple of weeks and perhaps what our immediate plans for the future are. Here's an example. It could look something like this. Hi, my name is Nils. I'm 51 years old, and I'm the youngest in a family of three. I have an older sister. Her name is Hannah. I have an older brother. His name is Jens. My sister is 10 years older than me, and my brother is 5 years older than me. Other than that, my family is actually quite small. I have many hobbies and interests. I particularly like to play chess and play music and listen to music. I'm also very interested in technology, and especially these days, artificial intelligence, which is very, very interesting for many different reasons. I currently work, I study a bit when I can. I'm interested in programming, for example. I work with language and linguistics, and I develop learning portals and learning content. The past couple of weeks, I've been preparing for a surgery. I need to go to the doctor to have something done with my back. My immediate plans for the future is to see my daughter grow and be happy. We just changed schools. I'm focusing mostly on my daughter right now, and she's 4 years old. This was a simple example of a personal presentation. I focused mostly on the family of my brother and sister, and I could, of course, have focused on my spouse and my daughter. It's entirely up to you. But that was an example of what we could expect at this time when you present yourself. When you study at the Inflight level, one of the questions that we frequently receive is, how should I, if I study alone, how should I study? What's the best way of studying? There's so many different things you can do that are not part of the course. So watching movie series, listening to podcasts is a phenomenal way of studying, especially interviews in topics that interest you. Don't forget sometimes to also listen to podcasts with topics that are not familiar to you. It's going to add a lot of new vocabulary, so that's very interesting as well. In the I'm Talking course, there's some tips I want to give you as well that are important, especially this segment called Foundations. Foundations you can find through all the levels: check in, take off, in, flight, and sky. This is mostly where we introduce new vocabulary and collocations, sometimes fixed expressions or phrases. And please pay attention to the fact that we introduce a word in isolation and then we give an example of how it's used. This example here to the right, they are not random examples. We did a bit of research to find out how are these words to the left mostly used by native speakers around the world. So we introduce this to you first. This means that you get access to relevant structures as fast as we can, as they are actually spoken by native speakers. Here's some example. We're talking about what we did perhaps in our latest vacation or the last time we took some time off. And this is a good example. Recess, I went into recess. It's a very common sense. I went to recess and then people say when I did it. We took some rest, meaning it's time to relax. We were tired, so we took some rest. So take and rest, important. The word break in the context of not working, it was amazing to take a break. So take a break. You can easily identify in our books what the most important language is. It's mostly in bold. Bold means negrito, right? So easy to identify that we're focusing on into recess, take rest and take a break. Quickly identify what the most important thing is. Take an away day, made an overnight trip. Father had to travel, some other examples. So that's the structure, the word first in the first column in isolation, and then The second column, how it's actually used. So when you practice pronunciation, always practice horizontally. Recess, I went into recess. Rest, we took some rest. This is how you should practice preferably. It's the best way of doing it. Another question that we answered in a previous video is, what about the colors? There's some colors in the books. You're right. We have light blue, purple, and orange. Throughout the materials, we help you identify the verbal tense. Now, at this stage, you're familiar with, so you know it, but just in case you missed it, so light blue is generally present time or present tense. It's not always the same in English, but more about that later. Purple here is simple past, generally speaking. And orange, when you see the orange color, we're using some sort of future time. So for you to help navigate the materials is a little bit easier. So here's some examples you practiced in the portal. Just want to quickly add some comments. The first question, how did you spend your recess? Notice the word spend. Spend is interesting because normally spend is used when we talk about money. So spend in this sense means gastar, right? But spend can also means passar, and that's the context here. How did you spend your recess? Como você passou o seu recesso? O que você fez? So that's the idea. So spend is used for money, spend money, or spend time. Gastar, passar. So spend has several meanings. There are also interesting expressions. It was time well spent. Valeu a pena. A experiência valeu a pena. It was time well spent. O tempo que eu passei lá valeu a pena. Foi legal. So spend, super interesting word. English is a mercantile language, right? A lot of business expression, business words that have been created in English or have been used in English because of the economy of the English language, if you like. Don't forget, actually. We've already talked about that in check-in and take-off, but actually it's a false cognate, okay? It looks like atomic, but it's not atomic. Actually means na verdade, right? So every time in English you say, actually, I decided to stay at home. Na verdade, eu decidi ficar em casa, sei lá, tá chovendo. So this actually, na verdade, não significa atomic. We got a question the other day, and that was about how often and how frequently. And the question was, is there a difference? No, not really. How often is com qual frequência, né? Você viaja. These are adverbs of frequency. Remember the list? Right, so always, very frequently, frequently, sometimes, not so often, seldomly, rarely, never. So there's a long list of adverbs of frequency, and frequently and often means the same thing, basically. Also, just a quick comment here before we wrap it up for this segment, this addition to your course. Please note that when we give you this opportunity, this is an example of a person who answered these questions. Always write your own version below in your book. If you hadn't had the opportunity to do so in the portal or with your teacher, make sure you do it for homework. Thank you very much for stopping by in this first additional class on the YouTube channel to your course I'm Talking. I hope you got some additional information out of it, and now you know a little bit more about the resource and how to use it. So thank you so much for coming by, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.